Imagine standing at the base of an ancient Indian temple while it's still being pulled from the earth. We're talking about massive stone pillars and towering archways rising toward the sky. Every square inch of this architecture requires thousands of hours of intense physical labor. Craftsmen strike chisels against granite from dawn until dusk, slowly shaping raw blocks into complex mythology. Now, drop a pragmatic European traveler into the middle of this construction site. He brings a strictly modern mindset with him, one governed by strict timelines, careful resource efficiency, and visible results. As he walks through the dust, he spots an elderly master sculptor laboring intently over a beautiful stone deity. But right next to him lies an already completed, seemingly identical version of the exact same idol, just sitting in the dirt. This breaks the traveler's mental model. Carving just one of these masterpieces takes months of painstaking focus. Duplicating the exact same piece from scratch is a massive drain on time and energy that defies standard resource management. The traveler naturally assumes the first statue must be ruined. He walks over and inspects the discarded stone from top to bottom, but he can't find a single crack, misaligned proportion, or structural defect. To the naked eye, it is flawless. This chart maps out exactly why the traveler is so confused. Carving the first statue ate up months of skilled labor. Scrapping it and starting over doubles the cost, delays the installation, and consumes another huge block of rare stone. Baffled, he turns to the sculptor and asks the obvious question. If the first carving is perfectly fine, what hidden standard is forcing you to start all over again? The traveler is looking for a mechanical error or a structural crack, evaluating the statue based on what it delivers to the temple. He doesn't realize he's measuring the work by a yardstick the sculptor isn't even using. The old man simply stops his work and smiles. He points to the tip of the discarded statue's nose. Right there, etched into the rough texture of the stone, is a microscopic scratch. It is a blemish so small you have to squint to catch it in the sunlight. It doesn't weaken the stone, and it doesn't ruin the aesthetic beauty of the massive monument. The traveler immediately points out the practical reality of the temple's design. This specific idol is scheduled to be installed near the top of a tower, nearly 20 feet in the air. From the ground, that scratch will be literally invisible to anyone looking up. It leaves the traveler with a glaring contradiction. If the final audience can't see the scratch from the ground, does the flaw exist in any meaningful way? The sculptor's answer is quiet. Even if others don't know it's there, I will know. In that one sentence, the entire weight of public opinion and efficiency becomes irrelevant. This flowchart illustrates extrinsic motivation. Output is judged by public perception, dictating external rewards. Work stops once crossing the acceptable line. But the sculptor's intrinsic motivation bypasses the public entirely. Fed by internal evaluation, quality climbs endlessly into true mastery. Pushing into that final tier of skill happens when you stop performing for the crowd and start answering only to yourself. Weeks later, the massive temple finally nears completion. The sculptor's second, flawless statue is tied to heavy wooden scaffolding and hoisted 20 feet into the air to its permanent home. Below, crowds gather to marvel at the sheer scale of the architecture. But standing quietly among them, the sculptor isn't looking at the whole temple. He's looking at that single, unblemished nose, holding the silent knowledge of its perfection. Nobody is going to hand him a bonus check for those extra months of work. No one in that cheering crowd will ever praise him for fixing a scratch they never knew existed. That is the reality of elite craftsmanship. It is an inherently lonely pursuit, demanding obsession over details the outside world will never acknowledge. This dynamic plays out long after the stone dust settles, applies to the code you write, the spreadsheets you format, and the silent decisions you make in your career every single day. It's like climbing a mountain peak. You don't scale the rock face because there are crowds waiting to applaud you at the top. You do it for the quiet fulfillment of knowing you conquered the ascent. External applause is fickle, and it fades fast. If that's the only fuel you run on, burnout is inevitable. Enduring excellence is only sustainable over a lifetime when the satisfaction comes from the work itself. The old master left us with a very clear directive. Do any work not for the appreciation of others, but for your own self-satisfaction. So the next time you're about to call a project finished, take a hard look at the scratches on the stone and ask yourself, whose standard are you actually working to meet?